It was a cold December evening in 1999. Thick fog blanketed the Providence Airport, hiding everything in sight. From the control tower, the runway was invisible. On the ground, a United Airlines flight was slowly taxiing, lost in the mist, completely unaware it was heading straight into danger. At the same time, a Federal Express cargo plane sat quietly at the edge of the same runway, waiting for clearance. Within seconds, both jets would be on a collision course. And the worst part, nobody realized it. Not the pilots, not the air traffic control tower. What happened next would reveal a terrifying flaw in airport safety and bring us within mere seconds of a disaster that could have claimed hundreds of lives. Before we continue, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you do not miss out on stories like this. Now, let us get back to the story. It was the evening of December 6, 1999, at Theodore Francis Green State Airport in Providence, Rhode Island. The airport had three runways, 5R, 5L, and 16. Due to poor visibility, only runway 5R was being used for takeoffs and landings. The other two, 5L and 16, were functioning as taxiways. At the time, there was no ground radar system, so air traffic controllers had to rely completely on pilots' position reports. If a crew got disoriented, no one would know. United Airlines Flight 1448 was on final approach, while a Federal Express cargo plane, Flight 1662, was waiting to take off from 5R. As United touched down and exited the runway onto taxiway November, Federal Express stayed put. Air traffic control confirmed with United 1448 that they were clear of the runway and gave them instructions to taxi via November and Tango, which meant crossing runway 16 on the way to the terminal. Meanwhile, a third aircraft, U.S. Airways Flight 2998, was lining up behind Federal Express, preparing for takeoff. Just behind them, a fourth aircraft, U.S. Airways 1020, was descending to land. All four aircraft were under the same air traffic control tower's supervision. But the dense fog made everything harder to manage. As United 1448 started taxiing, the crew made a wrong turn onto taxiway Bravo instead of continuing on November. Disoriented in the thick fog, they unknowingly headed back towards the active runway they had just landed on, runway 5R. At the same time, US Airways 1020 landed and began taxiing off the runway, following the same route that had originally been assigned to United 1448. Federal Express was cleared to take off from 5R, unaware of the dangerous situation ahead. So United 1448 continued, heading straight for the active runway. Meanwhile, Federal Express began its takeoff roll, rapidly building speed. The fog was so thick that the pilots could not see anything ahead. United 1448's crew then heard a jet engine growing louder. They looked to the right and saw landing lights speeding towards them. In seconds, the Federal Express plane rushed by, just meters above the ground, narrowly avoiding a disastrous collision. United's pilots immediately radioed, "Someone just took off right over us." Panic set in. The air traffic controller, still unsure of United's location, questioned them. The United pilots reported being near runway 23R at the intersection of runway 16 and taxiway Kilo. Confused by the signs around them, despite the chaos, the air traffic controller cleared US Airways 2998 for takeoff. Shocked, the United crew immediately warned they were still on the runway. The air traffic controller brushed off their concerns, stating that the runway was just a taxiway during low visibility operations. Luckily, the US Airways pilots, overhearing the exchange, refused clearance. "We are staying clear of all runways until this is sorted out." Their caution likely prevented disaster. Yet the air traffic controller, overwhelmed by the situation, tried to clear US Airways 2998 again and again. 3 separate times, the pilots wisely held their position, asking for clarification. At one point, the air traffic controller snapped, "Radio silence until I talk to you." It was not until much later that the air traffic controller finally recognized the gravity of the situation and tried to pinpoint United's location. The United pilots, still disoriented, gave inconsistent reports. They were supposedly near runway 23R, but also near taxiway Kilo. These locations did not line up, signaling that they were somewhere entirely different. Eventually, United 1448 saw a sign for taxiway Kilo directly ahead and requested to exit. After one last incorrect turn, they finally cleared the active runway. Only then did US Airways 2998 receive clearance to depart safely, this time. In the wake of this close call, the Federal Aviation Administration and airport authorities launched a thorough investigation. Several important changes followed. Runway 23R was permanently closed and converted into a taxiway. A ground radar system, airport surface detection equipment was installed, and taxiway layout was redesigned to avoid such a dangerous scenario in the future. This incident could have ended in a fiery collision, costing hundreds of lives. It highlights the crucial importance of situational awareness, especially during low visibility operations. Pilots, air traffic controllers, and systems must work in harmony, and as we saw that night, even one mistake can almost lead to catastrophe.